Oof. Man, the lighting in here is terrible. Man, I'm gonna really have to step up the game. No. Okay, whoa. Look at that. Hello. Yeah, it's gonna do just fine.
Yeah, that'll do. Welcome to the workshop. We build all of our weapons and equipment that we use for padded combat. Today, I'm going to be talking about armor. It'd be weird to have all this stuff here if I wasn't going to talk about it. So, armor is split up into several different categories. We have metal armors, leather armors, cloth armors, and helmets. Before we get going into the different armor types, I think it's important that we discuss just the general concept of armor and the rules that it entails. So, you'll notice right now, I'm wearing a chainmail vest of the Lorica type, made famous by the Gauls, that was later adopted by the Romans, those crafty bastards. Here, my protection is primarily on the torso and the upper legs. Now, it's one piece of armor, but it protects several different areas. When you wear armor, you get yourself an extra hit point, if you will. When you take a hit to the chest, okay, with a weapon, I'm alive. So always make sure to double tap. Nice primary function of that one is this nice little rubber mallet. I didn't even feel a thing. This also protects you because often we're fighting in fields, in forests, or you could fall on a tree trunk, or you could bump into one, or a branch might rub up against you, you might trip and fall on a rock. So having that little extra functional protection is also quite handy. Now, if we look down, I'm covered all the way down to here, up until we get to my lower legs. If I take a hit in the chest, that only removes the armor point for the chest, which drops down to about right here. I still have the armor points for the legs. Now, on my upper arms, if I take a hit here, I'm gonna be okay. But just because I have this here and I have this all exposed, if I'm gonna take a tap right here, that's still gonna make me lose the arm. And this extra layer on top, right here, this does nothing functional on the battlefield. If I take a shot here, it's not like I have 3 points, so it's absolutely pointless to layer up late medieval style of gambeson, chainmail, then plate on top. But now we're talking about 3 different armor types, so let's go ahead and actually start talking about said armor types. Chainmail. Chainmail comes in a lot of different varieties that you can find online for actually pretty cheap. You get a nice thing butted, like this chain shirt. This is gonna set you back about 100 euros right here, okay? It's pretty heavy. This one's weighing in at about 7 kilos, and it's gonna have a little bit of a short lifespan due to its construction.
You can see here the links are not completely closed. They're just kind of like pressure sealed in. So as you fight slowly over time, especially around your armpits, you're gonna start noticing some splits and some general links falling off the bottom eventually, like we have here.
The next type of chainmail are the types that I prefer mostly. This is my Hoburg here, and this is round riveted mail. Up. This bad boy right here is flat linked riveted. Now, these are gonna be more expensive, naturally. But the thing is that I've had butted in the past, and I've had this riveted thing for a long time. For the sport that we do, riveted will last you a lifetime. So the only reason that this stuff will fail you over time is if you start putting on too much weight, not getting enough cardio in, and just letting your general physique slip. Other than that, this is gonna last forever. I've had this for 3 years, and it's gone through 4 or 5 different events, and as you can see, it's still looking beautiful. Leather armors. So leather armors are a little bit more complicated than chainmail. Chainmail, it's you buy it, you put it on, it should go through armor inspections like nothing. Leathers, it's a little bit more finicky. Thickness. Thickness is what we're talking about here. Okay, this is one of my greaves, and you'll notice this is a nice thick piece of leather, one single piece all the way through. Now, boom. When you have single piece leather, it has to be at least 6 millimeters thick.
We'll notice here, take this bad boy. And we're coming in at 6 millimeters thick on the dot.
The good thing is, in history, it offers a lot of templates of armors that we can use with leather to get us up to that position. Lorica plumadas, scale mails, these sort of things, or as I have here stitched to my chainmail, Lamilon.
When we overlap them together, they come in at over 6 millimeters thick. So that would absolutely work.
Now, onto a piece of leather armor like this. Now, you'll notice the first problem. This one's been presented to an armor inspection and has not gone through. And it's only 5 thick, 4 or 5 thick with this different rim and everything like that. This is unhardened thin leather. If you want to have thinner leather, okay, it needs to be able to keep its shape. If I take this off, it opens up like nothing, okay? And if I can compress it, it doesn't really stay anything. It needs to be a little bit more hardened. So what you wanna do with that is you either wanna boil it, apply a lot of beeswax to it, or even several layers of just general wood lacquer or floor lacquer, and that should be able to toughen it up quite a bit. Normally you want like a sound of more when you hit the leather instead of me. Gambesons, cloth armors, any sort of cloaks or anything like that, it gets very complicated and it gets very avoidable. Number one, because cloth armor was used because it was cheap and offered a minimalistic amount of protection, but all of our armors offer the same amount of protection. They need to, when compressed, come down to about 1 centimeter of thickness. This one, right here, compresses down to about 1 centimeter of thickness. 1.1 actually. This one's gone through several armor inspections and it has gone through every single time without complaint. But it does offer a lot of hindrances. For example, my chainmail, if we're fighting all weekend at Salto Huto, I got a lot of good airflow. I got a lot of good breathing coming through. This is very, very effective in that regard. If it's raining, water off a duck's back. Everything flows right off of me and I don't get heavy. This thing soaks up water like nothing and it is hot. So before you invest yourself into a nice gambeson, yes, it is effective. Yes, it does look beautiful, but there's going to be those drawbacks. And as well, you can see this one's getting nice and frayed up. Okay, this is really starting to show its age after 3 events it's been fighting in. Might not make it through a 4th, so be advised. Helmets. Helmets. In the rules, helmets have to offer a degree of protection. Translating from Finnish to any other language is always incredibly difficult. Tosi vaikea, koska ei ole indo-eurooppalainen kieli. It's not an Indo-European language. I've studied it for years and I'm still struggling with it. Perkele. But helmets that offer protection. This bad boy here is my own helmet. I've had it for 3 years. Nice and rusty. Nice lining on the inside. And nice eye-based protection. Projectiles are gonna come through and they're gonna hit you in the face. Okay? So, here I am. Got my coverage at the back of my neck, so I'm protected there. I got my coverage on the sides here, and these close up perfectly to which I can't really get hit in the face. Might happen on a rare occasion, but My eyes are completely protected, so are the sides of my face. Why is this important to have a steel helmet, in my opinion, or something historically accurate? One, it just looks better. I mean, this thing looks beautiful. The curvedness at the top is not just design-based, it's functional, because blows to the top of my head, they're going to be very, very gentle coming down on top of me. And this thing is so sturdy that if I was ever to fall at Salto Huto and fall into a person, hit a tree, hit a rock, I'm going to be totally fine. You would have to use an exceptional amount of gross negligence to ever cause any sort of head damage to somebody with a helmet on. But believe me, it does happen. So invest into a very good helmet. Now I know we're not getting hit in the head with hammers, we're getting hit in the head with padded weaponry, but on the inside of these padded weapons, there are things like bamboo, reinforced PVC, fiberglass cores, and the handles are made up of these materials. So having a helmet that can protect you from these sort of mistakes that might happen is fairly ideal. Case in point, no. And I'm okay. Thanks, son. Hockey helmets. I've seen some people, some beginners, some amateurs run around with these bad boys on. We're a big hockey family, so we're well equipped with this stuff. I would never use these sort of things. One, we're supposed to be fighting in shield walls. We're supposed to be fighting in line combat. We're supposed to be getting into the spirit of this thing. Yes, it protects, but it's got a lot of extra ridges, things can get snagged on. It's got a lot of extra doodads. And the price difference is between a hockey helmet to this, absolutely negligible. You want to invest into something quick and easy, go to a secondhand goods store, just put that on, and get a helmet on your head. Padding underneath your helmet. We mentioned websites like Battle Merchant or Celtic Web Merchant or any place that's selling medieval clothing or armors. They're going to have these things too. These things are super handy if you have a helmet that comes with either a removable lining or a lining that just seems to slowly want to compress over time. I know a lot of legionary helmets or Celtic style helmets, they don't have these things. So this is really good. Would you want to use this on the battlefield as a head protection? Again, with the rules as they specify of just needing to protect your head, it could go through, it might not go through armor inspection, it might depend on the armor inspector, but most importantly, would I want to hit myself in the head with a hammer? Not particularly. So if I trip and fall in the forest, okay, it's not going to do bumpkus. Your head, your call, I wouldn't take the risk. Due to the nature of how this sport can function from year to year, you've heard me referencing armor inspections and making sure things are up to code. We're going to be facing a major armor change potentially by the end of this year. But not to worry, I'm just going to do an update video to keep you guys up to speed to make sure everything is well communicated on the eventual changes that might occur. Might be something involving no more thickness or weight, but we're going to see.
A sudden cut to bad audio quality, so expected, but still. Before I send you off with my usual catchphrase of now get out there and smack somebody, we've had some developments since I filmed this one. We've had the longest serving head armor inspector that I know of join Ulfnar, the handsome and hairy Rasse Rautovori. And I can't think of anybody else who can explain armor inspections for us, so go ahead, Rasse. Break it down for us.
Well, hello there, Travis. It is I, Rasse, live from Finland. But like Travis said, I am probably the longest serving armor inspector that we have in our sport. I started all the way back in 2018, and I am still serving. And I was the head honcho of the armor cartel from 2019 to all the way to 2023. So I know a bit about armor. I am also one of the co-hosts of Boffercast, a podcast that we run here in Finland about sotahuuta and buffering. And Travis was a visitor in one episode. But let's move on. These here are our tools of the trade. We use to measure thickness of armor, so I can just measure my armor here. Now that would be 4 millimeters. That would be very, very easily enough, because this is a hard leather armor, so it requires only to be 3 millimeters thick. Now armor types are categorized. There is cloth, soft leather, hard leather, chainmail, splint, and plate. Now, Travis showed quite a few, almost everything. Now, he didn't show that gambeson, that claw armor that I have over there, that is required to be 0.8 millimeters thick when compressed. And he didn't show. He showed this. Now this is not an armor. This is a tool. You put this under your helmet to protect your head from the steel of the helmet, so you don't die or get a concussion. But you never use this as an armor. It is only a tool. What else? What else? Oh yeah. Then there is the chainmail. Now chainmails do have requirements that are quite hard to, let's say, fail, but they are easy to mistake if you make your own. If you make your own, you need to remember the links must be made of metal wire of at least 1 millimeter of thickness. The thickness wire used in aerobot, there is where you put 4 in 1, like Travis had. Pattern chainmail must be at least 4 out of 25 of inner diameter of the links. It sounds complicated. You need to do the math always. Make sure your math is right if you're gonna do chainmail on your own. That is probably the only armor I'm gonna advise you buy, don't make. Then there is the plate, and it's kind of splints are kind of with them. Splints required to be one of fifth. It seems I'm also capable of mistakes. What I meant to say was 1.5 times, not 1 out of 5. Whoops. Thickness of normal armors. So if you're having steel, that requires to be 0.7 millimeters thick. Aluminum can be 1.8 millimeters thick, or needs to be, and titanium needs to be 1 millimeter thick. Those are the requirements of metal type armor. Armor in general, what kind of advice could I give? Well, for once, use your armor beforehand. Sotahuuto or any event you go. You don't want this to happen, where your armor conflicts it with each other, or it bites in or slips or anything else. You want to wear it beforehand. Also, if you're gonna buy your own armor, make sure you buy for your size. Don't use oversized armor. Or if it's too big, modify to be on your size. Or spend money and buy armor that is straight to your size. Also, go check out our Boffercast episode. To Switzerland and back again. Travis was there. We had a lovely discussion for like almost 2 hours. Go check. He would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. And nothing else but I hope to see you all at Sotahuuto. And fight on.